Hola simples mortales, bienvenidos a Destripando la Historia con Pascu y Rodri. Hoy os vamos a hablar del dios Hades.
Es el hijo más mayor de Cronos.
Se lo come porque está muy loco.
Fueron devorados otros 4 hermanos,
Evitando así la profecía de Urano.
oh, por Zeus son liberados. En el Tártaro lucharon, a los cíclopes reclutaron.
Oh, les dan unos regalos, uno para cada hermano, y a su padre se enfrentaron. Tiene un casco, cuando lo usan no pueden tocarlo. Con sus hermanos revienta a Cronos y hacen un reparto. En su reino lo controla todo.
Mola mucho, así que sale poco.
Tiene un carro negro, tiene un super perro.
Tiene río propio y un barquero griego.
Oh, está buscando reina, se fija en su sobrina y la agarra de la pierna.
Oh, Demeter se cabrea.
Como no encuentra a mi hija, no hay más plantas en la tierra. Hermano mío, suelta a mi hija, no seas pervertido. Para el camino le das semillas, un aperitivo. Hija, ¿comiste algo de lo que te dio Hades antes de salir del inframundo?
Sí, mamá, estas semillitas de granada.
¡No, idiota! Ahora tendrás que pasar 6 meses al año junto a él y yo me pondré muy triste y haré que no crezcan las plantas.
Pues vale. Oh, 2 tipos se infiltraron, por flipados les pillaron y les dejan encadenados.
¡Oh! Heracles aparece.
A Teseo te lo llevas, pero este no se mueve.
El más temido, en realidad le importas un comino. Un ser divino, es muy probable que sea tu tío. Hola pequeños merluzos, bienvenidos a Destripando la Historia con Pascu y Rodri. Hoy os vamos a contar la historia del dios Poseidón.
Nada más nacer se lo comió su papá.
Su hermanito Zeus le fue a salvar.
Su tridente, un arma letal.
Se convierte en rey del mar. Es fornido, es viril, mal marido, provoca terremotos. Dios seguido, tiene hasta un delfín. Come on, Jason, let's go party.
Siempre ayuda a gigantes con gran valor. Él es Poseidón. Conseguir ciudades es su pasión. Poseidón. Contra Zeus conspiró,
Y Zeus le castigó.
con Apolo construyó.
Una muralla en Troya.
Como nadie les pagó,
Poseidón se cabreó.
envió una inundación.
Se le fue la olla.
A Demeter a posada sin descansar.
Ven pa' acá, morena.
Para allá. ¿Cómo yegua puedo escapar? A mi hija he de encontrar. Pero él se transformó en cóctel y ya imaginas el resto. Dime que el caballo no eras tú.
Y tuvieron 2 hijitos.
Transformado en agua te fecundó. Él es Poseidón. A veces realiza una buena acción. Poseidón. Atenea descubrió,
A su tío Poseidón
dándose un revolcón,
con su sacerdotisa
se enfadó y la convirtió.
en un monstruo muy feroz.
A una cueva la mandó.
Lejos de su vista fue Perseo y le endiñó un meneo y le arranca la cabeza y del cuello al monstruo le salió
Un pedazo de un gigante.
Va teniendo hijos de 2 en 2. Él es Poseidón. Es como su hermano, tal vez peor. Poseidón. Y recordad, cuando vais al baño y os salpica un poquito, es Poseidón dándoos un besito.
Hola, veganos y come hierbas. Bienvenidos a Destripando la Historia con Pascu y Rodri. Hoy os traemos a la diosa de la agricultura, Demeter.
Su papá se la comió.
Su hermanito la salvó.
Lucha contra fieros titanes, a todos derrotó.
Se reparten toda la tierra, pero con ella no.
Diosa de la cosecha y el pan.
Sus misterios no te piensa contar.
Fueron a una boda. Se enamora de su sobrino Yación. A Zeus no le mola. Y le lanza un rayo destructor. Se acuestan con ella y luego la preña. A una hermosa niña parió. La pobre Demeter.
Mi Perséfone. Pero Zeus la regaló.
¿Buscas esposa? Quédate a mi hija.
¿En serio?
¡Claro!
Hades fue y la secuestró.
Fue a buscarla por todas partes, pero no la encontró.
Y a tu hermano se la llevaba, Zeus lo consintió.
Enfadada abandona su hogar.
Y la tierra se empieza a secar.
Se pone al servicio de un famoso rey que la aceptó. Cuida de sus hijos, se encariña mucho de los dos. Aún no le hornea en la chimenea para convertirle en Dios. La pobre Demeter.
¿Qué hace usted con mi hijo? ¿Qué pasa aquí? Demeter regresa a mí. Que alguien la haga salir. No sé qué hacer sin ti.
Suelta a mi pequeña, oh, déjala volver y se acabó. Hades la libera con una ligera condición.
Ella cada invierno volverá a mi reino.
Y su madre al fin se calmó. Le dejó su carro, a uno de los niños que cuidó. Lo llenó de grano, y le enseña a ser agricultor. Y con mucho empeño enseña sus misterios. Y por toda Grecia montó fiestas a Demeter.
¡Hola, criaturillas del Peloponeso!
Eso.
Bienvenidos a Destripando la Historia con Pascu y Rodri. Hoy os traemos a la única, la más pura, bestia.
Fue la primera que nació.
La primera, la que Cronos devoró.
Y la última que vomitó.
La llaman la más joven y la más mayor.
Por los rincones suele rondar.
Es la diosa de la hoguera y del hogar.
Y aunque no le guste hacer el mal,
Te partirá la cara en nombre de la paz.
su llama verás arder en cada ciudad.
Sin dudar le has de rezar. Es día,
En tu fiesta, en tu cocina,
es día. Es la diosa que te espía. Es día,
te enamora y te fascina, pero te puedes quemar.
es día,
Tiene una mansión divina.
es día. A las diosas las domina. Es día,
Cobra siempre una propina.
extorsiona a las demás. Fueron Apolo y Poseidón
A pedirle matrimonio, qué bombón.
agarró a Zeus del cabezón.
Para jurar que no la iba a tocar ni Dios.
Con su pandilla la encontrarás.
Artemisa y Atenea son lo más.
Dios
cosas puras y sin mancillar.
Y no como Afrodita, cuánto asco da.
Y en el sobrino fiel le viene a contar
Aventuras sin igual.
I see trees of green and clouds of white, bright blessed day, dark sacred night. What a wonderful world.
I love adventures, I love stories with heroes and villains and all that kind of stuff, but the stuff I always connect with is the smaller, more intimate things, the feelings that these characters are feeling. That's the stuff that I hold on to.
You're his mother now.
I do not have the programming.
He needs to swim and fly.
Swimming's easy. I can teach him the way my mom taught me. Swim!
Roz is an unrelentingly kind character. In this wild place that she was never designed to be, she learns kindness can be a survival skill.
Did you perhaps order a Rosam helper robot?
Where do you think you're going?
Everyone on Wild Robot had such a great passion, and they're all doing their best work. This magical combination of scope and heart.
Based on the look of the book, and with the subject matter that we were working with, DreamWorks is the perfect studio because the animators had already been developing this amazing illustrative style.
Wow. You need to learn how things work on this island.
Do you need assistance?
We're really pushing the look further than what we had started on Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It takes a lot of work. So we did a little sample trying to make the leaves and grass on the ground merge together into solid areas of color. That really convinced us that it could work.
The vision of the art department combined with the comfort of the artist with the technology, all those things have built up. We wanted all those painterly touches, but we still wanted to be able to follow our characters through a believable dimensional world.
They've really paid attention to every single detail. Every frame of this film creates spaces where it wants you to look.
Brightbill was never supposed to get this far.
Hello, bonjour, Jumbo. I am Gosling0186.
The migration to me is the showpiece of the whole movie. That's the scene that we have to build everything else around because we really had to earn that moment, and Chris boarded the whole thing himself.
Ready?
I guess I have to be.
He was a hero of mine since I was a kid. I grew up looking at his drawings in The Art of the Lion King, and it's a dream come true in every way.
I think I got it.
The artists here have outdone themselves in bringing a book and a story and characters to life that mean so much to me and to them, and hopefully someday to all of our audience that sees it. It's nothing like I've ever seen or experienced before. I cherished every single day.
You are ordered to return home.
I am already home, and I am a wild robot.
Every time I work on a film, I learn something. From Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, The Croods, How to Train Your Dragon, and Lilo and Stitch. All those movies, everything I've learned on those is going to be employed in this film.
Hello, I am Rosm7134. Do you need assistance?
One of my favorite things about making the Wild Robot is making the powerful and emotional through line. Roz is an unrelentingly kind character, but she is in this wild place that she was never really designed to be.
Hello! Chris is such a joyful artist. He brings that childlike joy into his work every day. He loves the thing he's making, and so he will infuse the sessions with that.
He's an incredible director, but also a really, really great scene partner.
All good.
Amazing!
That's infectious.
One of the things I really like about drawing Roz is because she's got these flowing arms and these flowing shapes on her legs, so she's very fluid.
I grew up looking at his drawings in The Art of the Lion King. This was the first time that I got to work with him, and it's on just such a beautiful, emotional story. It's a dream come true in every way.
He's got that great childlike wonder when you show him something just that he hasn't seen before, and he's like, that's... Stylistically, we started really pushing different painting styles, but we still wanted to be able to follow our characters through a believable, dimensional world.
With the painterly look, what we've gotten is a more real vibe than I've ever seen on an animated film before. Fantastic.
He's really the best audience and a great leader.
I genuinely look forward to animation every single day. The animators, the music, and acting all have fused together with emotion and warmth like I've never seen or experienced before. It began with the script. I jumped in and began the adaptation. Simultaneously, we work in parallel. So simultaneously to me working through the script, we were already beginning to identify different key places in the movie that we wanted to develop visually. And a lot of the style that you see on screen came from that development. It was those quick color sketches that I was attracted to and identified as a goal as far as like our finished look, which was something we had never done before. So those two things are running, and then a little bit later, when I got enough of the script finished, they were immediately thinking about different voice casting options for the film.
Hello. Do you need assistance?
One of my favorite things about The Wild Robot is the powerful and emotional through line.
It's a story about a robot that gets marooned on an island with nothing other than wild animals.
These animals want nothing to do with her, and they consider her to be a monster.
As sophisticated as she is completely new in this environment.
She starts looking for a task. That is what she's designed to do. She runs across a goose nest with one single egg. And now she's found her very first job.
Hello, bonjour, guten Tag.
Their relationship is obviously mother and son, and it just gets stronger and stronger throughout.
It's all about humanity and family more than anything, which for me is everything.
Here you go, kid.
It's kind of exploring the question of what is humanity, and Roz is far more human than she thinks.
Ready? I guess I have to be.
This movie is not afraid to pull at your heartstrings.
Come on, find that woo inside you.
Searching.
That needs a lot more work.
We gathered an amazing cast for The Wild Robot.
Chipper, I completed my task.
Lupita really helped us understand getting to the heart of what her character's all about.
Swimming's easy. I can teach him the way my mom taught me. Swim!
Pedro, there was this sort of impish quality that he had.
I have some essential needs.
Almost like a little kid.
Just swimming.
Kid brought Bright Bill to life. His delivery and feeling in his voice.
Roz, I could use a boost.
Was incredible.
This film has been made with very loving hands.
The look of the film was really based on this amazing illustrative style.
It's a very beautiful collaboration of the old and the new.
We can paint things like a painter would.
Right now, we are their only chance.
It's impressionistic, but it's more real. Roz is an unrelentingly kind character, and kindness can be a survival skill.
These characters, they're relatable, they're funny, they learn how to care about each other.
Don't be afraid.
People are going to really enjoy watching a robot learn how to be wild.
I am a wild robot. Aggression detected.
Roz was a very welcome challenge because if we did our job right, we hoped that her design would join some very iconic other robots that we very much admire, like C-3PO, R2-D2, certainly the Iron Giant. So that was a very welcome challenge. And Peter's designs from the book really pointed the way because we knew that it was going to be a humanoid shape, and we tried to stay true to the proportions that he described. But there was a lot, because of he has a very graphic style, so there was a lot of detail that we knew we were going to have to build in, and we were going to have to identify and finalize articulation beyond a normal human's articulation, because we really wanted this robot to be fun and surprising. And we knew there were going to be a lot of things that we were going to have to do with her that were going to be outside of a normal human's capabilities. Like I'd say the arms are a really good example of that. We stayed really true to the arm suggestions in the book. Those segmented arms that are very fluid, we really liked those. As far as the animals, we were really thrilled about the challenge, I'd say, of creating realistic animals. These designs were going to be a big departure from the business as usual, because normally in these anthropomorphic creatures, they go full, they're walking on two legs and they have jobs and etc. And we love that. One of the things I've forgotten to mention, I was very insistent that we get away from those human eyes that are always habitually placed in everything from dragons to fish to cats. It's kind of odd to me actually how much, it seems like no matter what the design, they mostly have these human eyes with human sclera and human irises and such. And I was very insistent that our eyes look more like the animal's actual eyes so that we didn't break the spell that we were creating.
I play Fink the fox.
My character Thorn is very powerful.
Thank you, Thorn!
What's that?
I know predators, and those are predators.
Predator and local goose expert.
You know, I'll be chasing you again tomorrow. Nah, just kidding.
I love Bright Bill. He's adorable, also just so funny.
Exemplary day for swimming tests, wouldn't you say? Scanning. Beep bop beep 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 bop boop bing.
Huh?
Suddenly I'm thinking I should maybe just stay with you guys this winter.
Nope.
Hey, it's working. I think I got it.
That's drowning.
Oh, I'm good. Just swimming. Swimming.
Swimming.
Oh, good. Just swimming. Yeah. Thanks, Freak. Amazing!
Amazing.
I impressed myself there.
There's a few scenes in the film that have this immense scale. The easiest one to go to is the migration sequence that is in the midpoint of the film, and that has to be mega. It's a mega scene. It's huge, and we have thousands upon thousands of geese, and that scale translates into emotional feelings, I think. We also have a couple of sequences that are time lapses, and I've never done anything like that before, and that was new to us. We also have what we call oneers. These are these shots that go on and on and on, and we don't cut. And we have two what we call oneers in the film, and they're very difficult to accomplish. They are a lot of work, but the reward and what you get out of them is well worth the effort that you put in.
I'm the bad guy.
Despite my cheery demeanor, I am unfeeling, inflexible, and morally neutral.
The character I play, Vantra, she is like user manual. You do not go beyond the user manual.
Come aboard, 7134. We will fix you right up.
I think I've forgotten something.
Roz, it is imperative you return to this ship. Gotcha.
Fink is devious, but incredibly loving. Nothing like myself.
I need a replacement transmitter.
Do I have to do everything? When we run across another robot, we'll kill it and take its transmitter.
Negative.
Look, you need to learn how things work on this island. Me, the bear, everybody. We're all just trying to survive. And kindness is not a survival skill.
Really?
I cannot say enough good things about all the actors on this film.
How long is this gonna take?
Our voice talent is incredible.
Woohoo! Yeah!
Can't hear you.
You died.
All good. It has been fascinating to have a front row seat to the process of making Roz and the world that she lives in. I remember, obviously there's the illustration that comes with Peter Brown's book that was the source material. But then there was all the interpretations from pencil sketches and then adding color and dimension and texture and scale that has come through the years, and to see the final version of Roz in the film as three-dimensional as you can possibly get with a two-dimensional medium, it's been so fascinating, and the choices have been very specific to tell this story. One of the coolest things, I think, is that they shied away from giving Roz a human-like face. So yes, she has limbs and that sort of thing, but her face is just two circles. She doesn't have a nose, she doesn't have a mouth, and therefore she doesn't have expression as we would expect it. And yet there's so much empathy we get from her as she evolves into a more empathetic, more individualized being.
Brightbill is where he belongs. And now you can return to your solitary life of struggling to survive on an island where everything wants to kill and eat you.
Brightbill was never supposed to get this far, you know that. It is more dangerous for him than anyone else, but he has a chance. If where his wings end, his heart can pay the balance.
Anyone see my lost fuzzballs? Smelly, bitey.
Allow me to introduce myself. Fink, predator, and local goose expert. Which I know you could use about now.
I thought you said they weren't aggressive.
That one's different. I've never seen one of those before.
Then we are in trouble.
You do not belong here. This is a wilderness.
And I am a wild robot.
I love adventures, I love stories with heroes and villains and all that kind of stuff, but the stuff I always connect with is the smaller, more intimate things, the feelings that these characters are feeling throughout their stories, because I think that's the most powerful thing that anybody can hook into as an audience. And as a filmmaker, that's the stuff that I hold on to.
The Wild Robot is a story that is not afraid to pull at your heartstrings. When I started this process, I was cautious, I have to admit, because a good book doesn't automatically make a good adaptation. There's an amount of faith that goes into signing up to a project like this.
The Wild Robot was published in 2016. That's 8 years ago from this recording. And then one day I got the phone call that Chris Sanders had been brought on as the director of the movie.
We needed a really sophisticated look so that this thing doesn't play too young, because when you read the book, it really speaks to all ages, particularly, I think, adults. The thing I liked so much about this book was the subtle but powerful emotional through line.
Roz learns to adapt and improvise, adapting to the world in such a way that she can approximate emotion.
His name can't have numbers. It's got to be personal.
Personal.
It's beautiful. It's a music that really supports that sparse nature of the language.
Chris Sanders asked for me to come on because there isn't that much dialogue, and music would carry a lot of this film. For the natural world, I wanted to find a way to have it feel wild and natural while not pointing to any sort of specific ethnicity. And I didn't want to have anything that piqued the curiosity of what culture are we trying to say this is coming from.
Do you need assistance?
Great. Moving on. My process is always going to the piano and playing to try to find that emotion. The migration sequence is really the sequence that kind of cracked the code on the sound of this film. I'm really excited for people to walk away with the nostalgia and reminder of connecting with either a child or a parent and looking at family as a broader idea, thinking about their communities and everybody that they are touching and who touched them.
I saw the migration scene fairly clearly from the very first time I read it. The thing that's beautiful about this is that, like building a snowman, raising a bird like that, there is a built-in heartbreak waiting for this character that they don't realize yet.
We have some different scenes that Chris has brought to the table to really clarify Bright Bill and Roz's journey, but I think you feel connected in a way that you did with the book.
I think the story of it is so beautiful in the most poetic way. Being able to see everything sort of come together has been really brilliant.
This beautiful creature especially becomes alive being a mother to this little gosling.
I'm thinking I should maybe just stay with you guys this winter.
Nope. I find it very, very funny, but it always ends up moving me very deeply.
I cry every time I see it, and I watch it many times as part of this job, but it still gets me every time because it's just such a beautiful embodiment of Roz's journey as a mom.
I could use a boost.
The entire team that created this look on this film did more than just create a look. They opened the doors and windows of this film's heart. You see the hands of the artists everywhere.
A Rosm always completes its task. You could feel the time and care that had been taken into telling this story. What we have created is immersive, and you have the opportunity to get lost in this world and go on this adventure with Roz. This is my migration.
The artists here have outdone themselves in bringing a book and a story and characters to life that mean so much to me and to them and to all of our audiences. This is a story that has a lot of truth to it. It's an amazing adventure, but it's an examination and an exploration of what it is to be a parent or a child and to live in a place that is cherished by a lot of people.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate my performance?
You do not belong here. This is a wilderness.
And I am a wild robot.
Remember, there is nothing he can do that you can't. Brightbill is where he belongs. And now you can return to your solitary life of struggling to survive on an island where everything wants to kill and eat you. I will register that as a 10. I miscalculated.
Some groups just don't get along. Every day, billions of soldiers fight a merciless war on thousands of fronts, and it's been going on for over 100 million years. The World War of the Ants. Ants are ancient beings that arose around 160 million years ago and took over a wide variety of ecological niches so successfully that they became one of the dominant animals on planet Earth. Today, they count more than 16,000 different species with over 10,000 trillion individuals. Collectively, ants alone make up 20% of the entire animal biomass on land. Similar to humans, their recipe for success is collaboration. While a single ant is pretty useless, together they are able to achieve stunning feats. They construct complex colonies, care for livestock, pursue agriculture, or have complex symbiotic relationships. And of course, ants wage war. Even among the same species, a constant state of conflict is pretty common. Skirmishes, raids, and full-on invasions are happening every day, causing millions of casualties. Let's look at some of the most interesting ones in a series of videos. In this one, the army ant, a swarm made for war. The army ant group consists of about 200 different species. Army ants do not build nests, they live a sort of nomadic lifestyle with groups of millions of individuals. On a hunt, some species form large columns up to 100 meters long, killing and immediately dismembering every insect or small vertebrate they encounter. The biggest hunting parties can kill up to 500,000 animals per day. Some army ants specialize in hunting and consuming other social insects like termites, wasps, and especially other ants. Wasps are fierce and may seem invulnerable, but if a swarm makes its way to their colonies, they don't even stand a chance. The much bigger and stronger wasps might kill a few of them, but they are quickly overwhelmed. Even if their queen survives an attack, the army ants steal the colony's larvae and quickly devour them. There is no recovery from that. When army ants discover another ant colony, they immediately attack. Now you might think this would be a more even battle, but it's not. Because army ants act as a social unit, they are especially dangerous and effective. Most army ants are not particularly impressive individually, but they can overwhelm their victims with sheer numbers before the victim colony can mount an effective defense. And so invasions tend to be won by the attackers, and the prey colony is damaged significantly or is exterminated. Interestingly, army ants don't fight army ants. When two swarms encounter each other in the wild, they either pass through each other, ignoring the other swarm, or both colonies just move away. Which makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Army ants that fought other army ants probably eradicated themselves millions of years ago. Indeed, they're so deadly that other ant species had to specialize to survive their presence. Many species just panic and evacuate their nest when they notice army ant scouts, carrying as many larvae with them as they can in order to return and rebuild after the attack. Other species have invented living bunkers since fighting is so futile. They have worker classes that have big square heads. When army ants show up, they use them to block the entrances to their nests, so the attackers have to give up after a while. But not everybody is afraid of army ants. Leafcutter ants form some of the largest and most complex societies of any animal other than humans. They live in extensive nests many meters deep and across, harboring millions of citizens with a highly sophisticated division of labor. Like huge soldiers, 100 times more massive than a worker. Their sole purpose might be to defend their colonies against army ants. They still have a nemesis, though. The diet of the army ant species Nomomyrmex eisenbeckii consists mostly of the larvae of other ants. Compared to other army ants, they have a more robust soldier caste. So far, they are the only known species that can successfully attack a mature colony of leafcutters. When they find a leafcutter colony, hundreds of thousands attack in a long column. The moment the leafcutter ants notice the army ant attack, they go into crisis mode and immediately alert their soldiers, who very quickly swarm to the site of attack. A front line develops that can be a few meters wide and up to a meter deep. The leafcutter soldiers go head-to-head with the army ants, lock in on them and try to cut through their heads. Smaller leafcutter workers help by grabbing the enemies. Small teams carry out attacks behind the front line, where they dismember their enemies by ripping their legs from their bodies. The attackers, meanwhile, try to swarm their victim soldiers and sting them to death in a mob. Despite the powerful defense and the determined response, the army ants are still superior in numbers. So without knowing if the battle can be won, the leafcutters prepare for the worst. Workers rush to create barricades and seal off as many entrances to their nest as possible to secure their brood. If the leafcutters are not able to repel the invaders, or at least barricade enough of their entrances in time, the army ants swarm the nest, overrunning all opposition. They penetrate deep into the hidden chambers and steal tens of thousands of the leafcutters' brood to eat them. Even if the leafcutter colony survives, this is a heavy blow. Regardless who's won the war, thousands lay slain on the battlefield. When the army ants attack, death follows them. But there are other species that form much more dangerous ant armies. Species that form super colonies covering thousands of square kilometers over multiple continents, engaging in wars kilometers across. They deserve their own video, though. No matter the scale, war is a part of ant existence, be it between huge colonies or small groups trying to fend off a raid. In tropical rainforests, but also in the cracks of the concrete we walk over every day. Humans have decided that war is not a thing that they want to do a lot anymore. For ants, though, the other ant will always be the enemy. No, some groups just don't get along. In nearly every corner of the Earth, ants wage war against each other. Their weapons are what nature gave them. Some have strong armor, deadly stingers, or sharp mandibles. And then there's this tiny and not very impressive ant, but it rules the biggest empire any ant has ever built. A colony spanning continents and fighting wars that leave millions of casualties. Let's take a look at this unlikely warrioress, Linapithema humanae, the Argentine ant. This story begins in the floodplains around the Paraná River in South America. It's a crowded ant megalopolis where dozens of ant species fight for dominance, including fire ants, army ants, and the rather unimpressive Argentine ant. It measures only 2 to 3 millimeters in length, and with its small mandibles, it's surprising that it survived among its buff competitors. Their homes are equally unremarkable. Their colonies range from fairly small to very large and can be found anywhere, under logs, in loose leaf litter, or the former colonies of other ants. Here, Argentine ants prepare their most effective weapon against their competitors' bodies. Most ant species have only one queen to produce ants, while Argentine ants went all in on numbers. For every 120 workers, there's one queen, laying up to 60 eggs a day, So their colonies grow fast and have millions or billions of individuals. Teams of queens and workers frequently branch out and found new colonies. But this strategy has a downside. As colonies grow and produce a lot of offspring, mutations occur and new colonies adapt to new environments. Their DNA slowly changes from generation to generation and differences accumulate. So after a while, the ants that left the colony will become more like distant cousins and start to compete with their mother colony. In their native South American range, this is how Argentine ants behave. Within their colonies, they are very cooperative and well organized, but they fight vicious wars against other Argentine ant colonies and other ant species. With equally strong opponents on every side, the Argentine ant became extremely aggressive, fighting for every inch of ground. But it could never dominate its neighbors until humans showed up. We did what humans do and transported things around the world by ship. On one of them, a few Argentine ant queens hitched a ride as stowaways from South America to Madeira and New Orleans. The Argentine ants suddenly found themselves in a strange world. Instead of being surrounded by deadly enemies, they found only victims. Nobody could fight them effectively. Because only a few Argentine ant queens were introduced to the outside world, the resulting colonies had very low genetic diversity. On top of that, the introduced Argentine ants kill up to 90% of their queens every year. Fewer queens, less genetic variation. So, as these colonies spread across the landscape, ants that left the colony were no longer considered distant cousins. As a result, the new colonies form not opposing, but cooperating parties called supercolonies. This is a very uncommon strategy in the ant kingdom. Only a few of the 16,000 ant species have evolved supercolonies. A supercolony was established on the west coast of the USA and became a base for the tiny ant's global conquest. Today, the Argentine ant inhabits the Mediterranean zones of 6 continents and many islands. This one supercolony was especially successful, establishing sister locations in California, Europe, Japan, New Zealand and Australia, forming one massive intercontinental megacolony of Argentine ants. This makes them the largest society on Earth, more numerous than even the human one. But their success has changed the ecosystems they invaded. California is a perfect example of this. In their greed for more territory, the invading Argentine ants have overrun and replaced 90% of the native ant species, including several species of Californian carpenter ants. Although carpenter ant workers are giants, their colonies have only between 3,000 and 6,000 individuals and stand no chance against an expanding supercolony of billions of Argentine ants. Argentine ant workers attack by wiping toxic chemicals on their victims, which irritates the enemy and marks them as a target for other Argentine ants. When they attack, the Argentine ants wash over their victims, clinging onto their opponents in groups and pulling apart their limbs. It doesn't matter how many of them die, there are always more. Once the colony is overrun and exterminated, the Argentine ants feed on their victims' brood and take over their home and territory. The Argentine ants' numbers allow them to hunt down and devour such an excessive mass of different insects that over time, some species disappear from the ants' territory completely. Argentine ants don't care about working with the local flora and fauna, they consume them and move on. And if their next stop happens to be human property, they will rudely make themselves at home there too. They forage in dumpsters, bowls of pet food, and sneak into kitchens to claim leftovers. Not just our homes, our gardens and fields are also impacted by Argentine ants since they tend to hordes of aphids as their cattle. The aphids feed from plants and produce a sweet honeydew which they trade with the ants for protection. Since the ants have no major enemy to fear in their new homes, the aphids thrive and ultimately kill the plants they live on. So, on top of being a major disruption for the ecosystems they invade, they are also a huge pest for agriculture. But the rule of the Argentine ant is being challenged. Parts of the supercolonies have broken off and become their own empires. A merciless civil war has broken out. For example, the Lake Hodges supercolony has been fighting against the very large colony for years in San Diego County. A massive war is going on over a dynamic front line stretching over kilometers. An estimated 30 million ants die here each year. On other fronts, an old acquaintance from the Paraná River has risen from the shadows. Red imported fire ants which were accidentally introduced from their old home to the coast of Alabama. Not only are the red fire ants fierce fighters and more than able to deal with the Argentine ant, they are also able to form supercolonies themselves. Now the old wars from their distant home have been taken to a foreign battleground. In the southeastern